Hi, greetings. Thanks for watching. Well, I think it's great that some of the Minnesota legislators are considering price controls on insulin, and the Minnesota Attorney General is suing some drug companies over the price spikes in insulin. I think they're sort of missing the point here regarding how they're looking at the whole field of medicine, and they're being as a result, they're acting in a more of a reactionary fashion to these problems with the price spikes, specifically with insulin. Um, and also, there's also the general problem of the price spikes in other pharmaceuticals and medical devices. And they're acting in a reactionary fashion to these problems that should have been foreseen. And if they had foreseen it, they could have been the problems could have been prevented from happening in the first place, and should have been prevented from happening if these legislators would have acted in a proactive manner and seen how, and then if they were to look at medicine for what it is, a vital utility. And with utilities, there never has been an expectation, and there never should have, as there shouldn't be, an expectation that should not be expectation that utilities are something that is best served by the free market. I think it's just assumed that, correctly assumed, that utilities do not function well if treated as something that is delivered by a free market. Rather, it is believed correctly that utilities need to be an entity that is very well and tightly regulated by the government in order to ensure that the citizens receive that needed utility at a reasonable cost in a necessary amount. And to do that, the government sets up what is known as a Public Utilities Commission, or the acronym PUC. The PUC has two main functions, general functions. They may have lots of particular functions, but two main functions of a PUC. One is to set a price that the utility can charge for what the utility is providing, the vital utility. The second function is set the minimum amount of that utility that will be provided to the customer. So it's not enough just to set the price. I mean, it's not going to be do the customers any good if the PUC sets a reasonable cost for, say, electricity, but then not require the utility to provide a necessary amount of that utility, and then the utility says, well, if you're going to make us charge that little, then we're not going to provide it at all, and they don't. Then you have all these blackouts and brownouts to the customers that the electricity isn't provided. So that wouldn't do much good if the utility were to, if the PUC were to set the price, reasonable price for let's say electricity, and then the electric company doesn't provide that electricity to the customer. You just have these blackouts. So it needs to be two functions for the regulator. You got to set the price and the amount of the utility to be delivered to the customer. Now, that's what I'm afraid of in the case of insulin. If the government set the price, limited the price of what the drug companies could charge. The drug companies could say, well, if you're going to make us provide it at that low a cost, we're just not going to provide it at all. And they could just shut down production. And if they're just being limited for the price and that's it, then there would be no legal ramifications to the drug company if they were just to shut down production and not provide the patients with any insulin. That could happen. And there's already a huge problem in this country with drug shortages. So that's why there needs to be a Public Utilities Commission, an equivalent of that, set up for the field of medicine. Not just with insulin, but all medicine. That sets a reasonable price for the medicine, and the other thing, make sure that there's an adequate amount that is needed for the patients. And the problem there, the potential problem there, is that drug companies could just not agree to the contract. They could not just they might not just agree to be bound to such a contract to deliver the needed medicine or medical device at the price and the amount required according to the medical PUC. So what do we do then? Well, I think the only option, under that potential scenario, and we have to consider that scenario could happen, we need to set up the government so that they'll be the ones to manufacture and deliver the needed medical medicines and medical devices to the patients at both a reasonable price, and a needed amount. That's the only way we can ensure that both conditions are met, just as is the case with all the normal vital utilities that we've taken for granted to expect to get delivered to us at both a reasonable price and a needed amount. Whether it be electricity, natural gas, water, and sewer. We become just taking it for granted that we'll get those at a reasonable price and a necessary amount. But that's with the case with medicine. We just have the government and the patients are left just to scramble in reaction to both the ridiculous prices and shortages of medicines and medical devices. So that's what we need to set up, as a Public Utilities Commission and a government-run manufacturing process for medicines and medical devices, so that we need to just realize that medicine is it should be seen for what it is, a vital utility, just like any other utility. Then we need to make sure that in a developed nation and developed society, that it's delivered to the people that need it, to the patients that need it. That's all I wanted to say for now. That's all I can think of for now. Thanks for watching.